Good afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks are a mess. Should Nico Harrison be allowed to clean it up? Meanwhile, the Pistons are leading the Eastern Conference, and we get to some winners and losers from the weekend. Let's jump in.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Congratulations to everybody. All the hard work is paying off. However, you might be tuning in on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Wes Goldberg. Today we're talking about trouble brewing in Dallas, the Pistons being awesome, and then we'll get to some winners and losers from the weekend. We're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast, senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
If you choose to have kids, that's great. If you choose not to have kids, that's great. Whatever you choose to do. But if you do choose to have kids, I will tell you one of the great joys in life is watching your 9-year-old daughter who likes rainbows and unicorns swat somebody and yell, "Yeah!" It was absolutely incredible. That's my girl.
SWAT as in like a block shot?
Yeah, she blocked him outright. She jumped up and actually blocked the shot and got out. And that was like a very crucial bucket for this weekend. I was very, very excited.
That's amazing. Some clutch performances from the Moore family. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, also a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report, it's Haize.
Another fourth quarter comeback for the Chicago Bears. We've been doing a lot of that this season so far, but it's been exciting to see my Bears win.
Dolphins got to win. They beat the Bills this weekend. What's happening? What's going on? They might not make our weekend winners and losers, but they're definitely a winner for me. Let's start with our top story.
Cool. You guys pay attention to football before January. As a Chiefs fan, I don't know what that's like. So.
Haize, we're going to ignore that one.
Yeah.
First world problems over there for Kansas City. Top story of today, the Dallas Mavericks, who lost to the Grizzlies on Friday night. They are 3-7 now on the season. And now reports are swirling that GM Nico Harrison is on the hot seat. Mark Stein wrote over the weekend that, quote, "The rising and virtually ceaseless negativity that surrounds the franchise is indeed wearing on and troubling ownership," end quote. ESPN's Tick McMahon said this morning that it's, quote, "a matter of when, not if, Nico Harrison will be fired." Here's more from Locked On Mavericks.
This has been a question I've had throughout this whole thing is, does ownership care? Do they care about all the negativity, or are they just going to ride it out? Because ownership and Patrick Dumont is the only other person that signed off on the Luka trade. And now here we are, Mavs 3-7, but now will Nico Harrison be the one at the helm to try and help them dig out of it and try and construct something to help them get out of it? And I say it absolutely cannot happen because I just do not think he has the best interest of the Mavericks and probably Cooper Flagg long-term in mind, considering all this with his 3-year plan.
Yeah, no, you can't let the person try to fix the mistakes that he made and the mess that he made. This isn't trying to teach a toddler lessons. What I'm doing right now with my son and my daughter of hey, you kind of made that mess on the floor. You got to clean it up. That's no, this isn't parenting. This is running an NBA franchise.
Here's the crazy thing. The Mavericks are 4th in defensive rating, and they're still losing. So I guess Nico Harrison's vision of defense win championships not exactly working. Matt, should Nico Harrison be allowed to try to clean this up?
No, under no circumstances. So, look, I don't know how good or bad Nico Harrison is as an executive outside of this decision, because it is funny to me that Mavericks fans were just so much our GM is one of the best in the world when they went to that fluke finals run, and now maybe not. They need closure. They deserve closure. And the organization can't move on. Everyone feels it. The problem is every single time that they lose, and we traded Luka. That's the feeling that you get. And you have to move on from that. You have to move on from that. And it is very evident that the roster build was wrong. Now, I think it's in his defense, it's fair to be Anthony Davis has been out. My entire thing was built around Anthony Davis being the player that we needed, and he hasn't been there. Mavericks fans and Locked On Mavericks, I think, are correct in responding. That's Anthony Davis. That's who he is. He's always out. I just think, hey, the only way for the organization to move forward, for the fan base to move forward, for anyone to move forward, is for them to fire Nico Harrison.
Yeah, fire the guy who traded a beloved franchise player without a bidding war to net you more back. You did luck up and get the number one, overall pick and get Cooper Flagg. Like, you want that guy leading the build around that team who brought in D'Angelo Russell when your team needed a point guard. Yeah, there's no doubt that he should probably be fired. I'm surprised that this is just now, popping up here. But sooner, I guess they got here eventually, so that's the thing that makes the most sense. But yeah, Nico Harrison isn't the guy. Like, I don't know how you trust Nico Harrison as a fan base or as an ownership group after the last 18 months in Dallas.
It'd be one thing, I guess, if they didn't get this lottery ticket of Cooper Flagg and moved up to the number one pick to take him. It's kind of a get out of jail free card, right? If you're the Mavericks ownership, it's, you know what? This wasn't, Nico Harrison could say that. What did he say? That fortune favors the brave or something crazy
Bold.
after
Fortune favors the bold.
Absolutely insane statement that Nico Harrison actually took credit for winning the lottery there. But if you're Patrick Dumont, this Mavericks ownership group, can't you see this and say, you know what? We really did kind of screw up. This is basically malpractice by Nico Harrison. He should be fired. And now we could just try to at least just ignore or move past what happened and just sort of build forward with Cooper Flagg in mind. And if Nico Harrison, I mean, Nick Angstadt there kind of mentioned the 3-year plan that Nico Harrison keeps talking about. If he doesn't plan on being there for the long term, for basically Cooper Flagg's prime, then you almost have to move on from him because he's the franchise now, for better or for worse, Matt.
Yeah. I mean, the minute that they got Cooper, they should have pivoted and just gone ahead and reconfigured anyway. But I understand that Nico was committed to the concept of what they were building around. I think ownership is a really interesting question, and Locked On Mavericks had some interesting comments on this on Friday's show with Isaac and Slightly Biased. Isaac, by the way, thought I was just being biased against the Mavericks when I said they would be 13th in the West.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how ownership just doesn't care. Just doesn't care about it. And this is a really concerning moment here. Cuban would never have let any of this happen. All of Cuban's faults, that's fine. You can talk about all of Cuban's faults. He doesn't trade Luka. He says, no, are you insane? No. And he doesn't let this hold on. If this happened, if he was in charge, he'd be like, yeah, you got to go. We got to start over. The fan base has been destroyed. And he would admit hey, people make mistakes, because that's the type of owner that he was somebody that was culpable and those kind of views. I don't think the Adelsons are. I don't think Patrick Dumont is. I think they're going to be I don't think that they care, but I also think that pride is a big part of this, and they don't want to admit how big of a mistake that they made because they didn't realize what trading Luka was going to do.
I don't know how they didn't realize what trading Luka was going to do. If that's the case,
You know anything about basketball?
I mean, my mom, my 65-year-old mother was like, did Luka really get traded? She has no idea who anybody. She knows 5 basketball players. They had to know.
That's more than they knew. I mean, Dumont's statement afterwards, it was Larry Bird would never. And it's have you not watched the NBA in 30 years? Is that the idea here? So if they move on from Nico Harrison midseason, right? And that's sort of the idea here. What Mark Stein is reporting, what Tim McMahon is saying, is basically a matter of when, not if. If they move on from Nico Harrison midseason, what is the next step? Are you trading guys like Anthony Davis? Are you sort of just dismantling this thing, in other words, and rebuilding and getting young around Cooper Flagg? Or are you trying to maybe save some of this and reconfigure the roster and try to make a push for the playoffs? What are you trying to do here, Matt?
I mean, you don't fire Nico unless you can, just because there's not as much a GM can actually do in the regular season. You can manage the trade deadline, those type of things. So it's kind of fine to move on from him now and then wait and see. Maybe AD comes back and they crush it and they turn into the team that Nico thinks that they can be. And then what do you whoops, sorry. That's the theoretical reason to hang on, to give him at least 5 games with Anthony Davis and see does Anthony Davis singularly turn this around? That's all you're waiting on is Anthony Davis upgrade to questionable for tonight's game. So that's the only real way that you can kind of go about this. The responsible thing to do, outside of hindsight, which is you should have done this way before, but the responsible thing to do is to trade Anthony Davis for as many young wings and picks, and you start a real rebuilding process. You give the Mavericks fans a young team they can be excited about. That's what you aim for. You trade for a young guard that's still on the upside. I don't know. Somebody like, I don't know. I would assume no. And you give that the like defensive player on the Mavericks as like a lead guard. You trade everybody, Gafford, and you talk to Kyrie and you say, hey man, we're done. Do you want to stay or do you want to go somewhere else? And then when he comes back, you make that decision as well. They need to rebuild.
Haize.
Yeah, I mean, they could do everything that Matt said except for pursue I would assume, because it's just not going to happen. But I think a rebuild around and just finding, like, stacking the deck with assets and just preparing for the type of players that you need around Cooper Flagg is the right move to go there.
Bad times right now in Dallas, but things are good right now for the Detroit Pistons. We'll talk about whether or not we're buying their 6-game win streak in a second. But first, today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day. Locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto, all on one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay. No hidden fees at checkout. Plus, I can see exactly where what my view looked like before I bought the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Plus, their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. Let's talk about the Pistons, who got a good win over the Sixers on Sunday. Cade Cunningham is balling out, took over down the stretch in an intense battle with Tyrese Maxey. Here's Locked On Pistons with more.
And it was due to Cade Cunningham showing up when they needed him most. This was a good battle between Tyrese Maxey and Cade Cunningham throughout this game. When it got super close, when it got late in this game, when you need your best players to be superheroes, Cade Cunningham was a superhero and got the Pistons yet another clutch time win. And they now move to 8-2 on the season. I really am liking how Cade is being more aggressive as a scorer and trying, like, throughout the game, you're seeing him problem solve in real time. Like, that's what the best players do. Despite struggling early on, maybe not having the best game, you see that your team needs it, and you see it's getting close, you see it's clutch time, you come up and you show out, and that's what Cade Cunningham has done over and over and over and over and over again.
So as of today, the Pistons are the number one team in the East. They're third in defensive rating. They're sixth in net rating. They've won 6 games in a row. Quality wins over Houston and Philly so far this season, but their schedule also hasn't been super tough so far. Haize, are you buying this Pistons team as a team that could potentially push for one of these top seeds in the East?
Yes, I was buying it before the season even started. I think when you have a player like Cade Cunningham, who's as good as what he is, and Jalen Duren to start off this season has really stepped up quite considerably. And I think one of the backbones that is just basketball, period. If you have a point guard and a big man that have really good chemistry and playing really good at the same time, there's a level of success you're going to hit anyway. On top of that, they're in the Eastern Conference. And I still think we've yet to see the best of the Detroit Pistons. I'm not only buying that they're going to be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, they could win the Eastern Conference depending on how things continue to go for them this season.
I'm with you. Well said by Haize. I think they are a legit Eastern Conference contender. So one of the interesting things is they're not even hitting shots. Like, their 3-pointers are not falling right now. And their offense is mid. It's not good. It's not terrible, but it's not good right now. If they start to actually, like, find a rhythm offensively with their shooters like Duncan Robinson and other guys. Like they're only going to get better. You mentioned strength of schedule. A lot of the great teams right now have bad strength of schedule because they make the opponents look bad, and then those teams are automatically taking a loss because that's a team that this other team beat. So I think the Pistons are legit. I think they can legitimately contend. I think that the playoffs showed last year they can match up with the Knicks. The Cavaliers, I think, have been really inconsistent so far. We'll see how that goes. We got a long way to go. But with Jalen Duren taking the leap that he has, they've done all this without Jaden Ivey. I really do think that Detroit is a legit threat in the East.
We talked about the Pistons. Maybe it was right before the season. There was a question that I asked you guys, like the Pistons are best suited if blank is their second best player. And I remember, Haize, you mentioned Jalen Duren. That was the guy that you marked as, yeah, if he's their second best player, they're in pretty good shape. Understanding that Cade Cunningham is going to be their best player. We'll talk about Cade here in a second. What have you seen from Duren? Like, where's that leap coming from? We know about the production. What's the difference with Duren's game right now?
I think it's like he's a lot more aggressive and he's just more polished. Like for Duren to be as big as what he is and as strong and combination of speed as what he is, like he hasn't always done the best at being aggressive out there on the court. Like now he's just the chemistry he has with Cade is great, but like even when he gets in isolation situations, he's just being a lot more aggressive at getting to the rim. And teams just can't stop him. He's too strong, or you're putting him on the line. I think that has made a difference about the intentionality behind Jalen Duren and how he plays on the court this year.
I think so much of it is he's understood his timing sequences, and his rim protection has been a huge part of their success. Like this is what happens with bigs is like sometimes it takes a couple of years for them to kind of get comfortable. The nice thing about Duren is he's sneaky versatile. Like he's not just like a stiff big. He's got a little bit of a handle. He's got a little bit of post moves, and he's actually a really good passer off of the short roll. And like those mechanics, I think, are really huge. You don't need to be great. You don't need to be Draymond Green, but just providing Cade with a weapon who can operate in space fundamentally shifts and changes how defenses have to defend you.
He's not even shooting that well. He's shooting a career low right now within 3 feet of the basket. That's going to get better, right? Like that percentage will get higher. And like you said, Matt, like overall as a team, their shooting percentages should get better too. The one guy who's just playing out of his mind, though, right now is Cade Cunningham. Maybe it's not even out of his mind. I don't even know if that's fair. Like, he's a very good basketball player. Against in the final stretch over in that win over the Sixers, he looked like downright James Harden-esque in a good way. I mean, had a step-back three, had a turnaround jumper in the post where he's using his size and his strength to get to his spot. He right now is second in the league in fourth quarter points, averaging 11 fourth quarter points per game, behind only Giannis at 11.4. Haize, it feels like Cade is just playing at an MVP caliber level, which, to give credit to everybody here on the show, we kind of called this going into the year.
We did. I think that's one of the things we all universally agreed on. And you saw the signs of like Cade Cunningham is legit. By the end of the season and as you go into the playoffs, he has a chance to be the best player on the court in a lot of these playoff series. And we'll see where that gets the Pistons this year.
Yeah, he's shooting 47% on pull-up twos. That's really, really good. His three-pointer hasn't even started falling yet. I love the confidence that he plays with. The game is just slowing down more and more for him. He's such a great playmaker. He's a really good defender. Like he's an all-around player. And I'm not going to be surprised if this guy winds up on the MVP ballot by the end of the year. Where
would we rank them? I know obviously they're number one in the Eastern Conference in terms of record. They're 8-2. Cleveland's there at 7-3, right behind them. New York at 6-3. Chicago 6-3. Miami 6-4. Milwaukee 6-4. That's your top six. Philadelphia, we'll throw them in there, also at 6-4. They're seventh right now in the East. In terms of point differential, Detroit is third behind New York and behind Miami. Now, some of these point differentials, as we know, are a little kind of crazy inflated because the sample size is still pretty small. But sort of qualitatively, Matt, where would you put the Pistons in sort of your Eastern Conference rankings right now?
I'll put them in tier 2. I'm going to go ahead and say it's Cavs and Knicks. Cavs, I think, have fallen back into a tier with the Knicks. Knicks are playing well enough. There's some stuff under the hood that's a little concerning, but their overall numbers are still good enough. I do think, though, I think it's an interesting question of like which of these teams that's been surprising, because we knew there were going to be surprising teams in the East. Like, do you think that Miami's going to be able to hold on here? Are they going to be able to stay at this rate, waiting on Bam's MRI? Like that's a big one here. Is Miami going to be able to hold on? Which way does Atlanta go? Because I can never kind of get a sense for if Atlanta is surging or going the other way. Do they need Trae Young? Do they not need Trae Young? And then Orlando continues to struggle. Like, you can't say that Orlando's been better than Detroit. So I actually kind of think it's probably Cavs, Knicks at the top, and then Detroit is in its own tier as like the team in the Eastern Conference that could make a run and surprise folks, and maybe be the team, like you mentioned, Haize, that could win the East.
Yeah, I'm not counting the Pistons out in anything. They could definitely. I'm not going to count them out on winning the East yet. Like, yeah, the Cavs and Knicks are probably in their own tier. We'll see how well the Bucks continue to go over the course of the season. But a lot of the teams that I thought were going to come into the season and maybe be surprised, like Atlanta, Orlando, like those teams are still struggling as things stand right now. So the Pistons have just as good a chance as anybody else.
Alperen Sengun had one of the craziest daggers I've seen in a long time. We'll talk about winners and losers in a second, but I want to touch I want to go back to that point about the Pistons potentially winning the Eastern Conference. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than on FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has the live bets on everything that from who's going to score next in the fourth quarter to late comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Let's take a look at some of these conference winners' odds for the Eastern Conference. Somehow, our Detroit Pistons are behind Cleveland, New York, Orlando, Philadelphia. They're plus 1,100. Seeing the Magic over the Pistons, I know we're still early. We expected big things from the Magic preseason, but the way this Pistons team has looked, for the Magic to be plus 750 and for the Pistons to be plus 1,100, that just seems really out of whack to me. Also, can somebody please explain to me how the Celtics have better odds to win the East than the Milwaukee Bucks? 3 words, Boston Media Mafia, maybe. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers plus $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up, play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team. Check out Locked On Mavs and Locked On Pistons for more on today's top stories. Let's talk about some winners and losers from the weekend. Haize, what stood out to you from the weekend?
I mean, I think we all lost this weekend. We all lost this weekend. Every NBA basketball fan lost this weekend because we weren't in person to watch some of these beautiful games that happened over the. I just want to travel all season. I just want to travel. Like, just my fiance is going to kill me because all I want to do is spend my savings to travel and watch some of these basketball games. But no, I mean, I think that the Magic fans continue to lose. Like, the Magic just look really bad as a basketball team. And I don't know if about an individual player, but the Magic I know they're 4-6, only 2 games below 500. And they still got more than enough time to turn it around. But all the positive momentum that was around before the start of the season last year, then between the injuries and now your acquisition of Desmond Bane not working out, it's just been a very interesting 12 months for Magic fans.
Desmond Bane took only 1 3-point attempt in their loss against Boston in 35 minutes. That was the thing he was supposed to do. I don't know if that was a quiet quitting thing from him or what. Matt, what are you looking at, winners and losers?
The winner this weekend was DeAndre Hunter because he won Josh Giddey's soul. So Josh Giddey is also the loser. It was the nastiest crossover I have seen in a long time. That was brutal. If you have not, just go watch on YouTube DeAndre Hunter crossover. It was unfathomably bad. That was a brutal one.
It was one of those crossovers where you're concerned for the guy who got crossed over in terms of, did he just get injured? I mean, he literally limped off the court, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he left the game for a few minutes before he came back.
He broke his ankle.
He literally broke his. There's a screenshot that I texted you guys where he's literally just doubled over. He's folded in half like a lawn chair. That's how badly his ankles were crossed. If I can get to one winner, Alperen Sengun for his dagger layup. Against Giannis. A crazy play. If you guys haven't seen it, listening here, Sengun brings the ball up with Giannis chasing him full court, and he's going up the right side, hits Giannis with this like behind the back dribble, then gets to the 3-point line, and then just does a full U-turn. Giannis is chasing Sengun like a dog chasing his tails, and Sengun gives him like this weird stiff arm or something. Giannis lunges, falls out of the play, and then Sengun just takes off, drives, spins to a right-handed layup to give the Rockets a 2-possession lead with 23 seconds to go against the Bucks. It's his second game-winning drive of the last, I think, week and a half or so. Şengün, big winner from the weekend for his move against Giannis. That's who I had. What else we got?
How about Devin Booker, man? Devin Booker is, I think, we kind of asked, like, is he off of this chart of the best shooting guards? And he's putting himself back on it, not just with his scoring, but with his passing. Suns are decent. The Suns are decent. Like, they're not a great team. They're going to have some bad nights. They got absolutely walloped by the Warriors last week. I don't think they'll hang with any of the elite teams. There are these kind of teams that settle in where it's like, no. They'll beat the teams worse than them, and it's like a coin flip every single night on the teams in the middle. And if you lose a lot of those coin flips, you wind up under 500. If you win a lot of them, you end up over 500. That's where I think the Suns are. They lose Jalen Green again with a hamstring injury, which is a bummer because like he has, and they were killing in his minutes in this short time that he played. But I still think that with Devin Booker playing like this, especially the playmaking that he's making, that he's a big winner. I think of the weekend with that win over the Clippers.
Haize?
Yeah, I think I'll also say your team, Wes, the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have looked really good. That offense looks legit. I know they're 6-4 on the season. They've won two in a row. But what they've been able to do at the start of the season with missing Tyler Hero, Bam, is ruled out tonight. But like the Miami Heat's offense is legit, and I think this team is going to be really good by the end of the season.
They're going small with Bam out. They're starting Khalil Ware, and then they're going small with Nikola Jovic. They're at the 5. They played some minutes with Kashad Johnson, who's 6'6", and nobody's ever heard of outside of Miami in that first game that Bam was out against Denver. But they leaned into the bit. They've lost the rebounding battle by like 30 or 40 rebounds over the last 2 games, but they're just saying like, we're just going to outshoot you. We're going to outrun you. And that's how we're going to win games. Now Charlotte and Portland is very different against than Cleveland, who they play twice this week. So we'll see what happens. Shout out to Jordan Walsh, dagger 3-pointer against the Orlando Magic. A good moment for him. I have a loser. AJ Mitchell, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals against the Memphis Grizzlies. He's been awesome for OKC off the bench. You might be asking why he's a loser. He has 2 more years left on his contract, and it actually declines after this season. He'll be making less than $3 million in each of the next 2 seasons after this one. It's a team option on that final year. He's not going to be a free agent until 2028, and I can't help but feel for the guy. He's having like the season of his life so far right now. He looks like a legit high-end rotation player in the NBA, and he's going to be getting paid basically the veteran minimum for the next 2 years after this one. It's a tough break for AJ Mitchell. It's going to be a long time until he gets his payday.
Sam Presti's a warlock. Sam Presti is a warlock. Yeah, that sucks. But at the same time, like, that it's that Thunder development crew that put him in that position. So, stick with it and you'll get rewarded. Loser, going back to that same game, we may have to talk about the Clippers, man. Oh boy. Things are getting bad. Things are getting real bad. Where is the team that was so good last year? Where is the defense? Like, why is Zubac not getting the ball? Go, man. Darian Vaziri over at Locked On Clippers was despondent after that game. You've got the scandal overhead, which I didn't think was going to impact them, but they've got too good of a roster to be playing like this. I don't know. I can't tell you right now what the Clippers are good at. That's concerning.
Being old.
Yeah. They are good at being old.
Good at being old.
Honestly. So.
If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily, wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.